Nigel and Neil, welcome back to the country.
Hi.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to talk to you about some of the songs that are coming up on the special. The first one, Fire Drill, a B-side of what single?
Fire Drill was the track that we recorded during Time and Tide, but it got left off the album because there wasn't room on the album for it. So it ended up as the opening song of a show for that reason.
Yeah, there was great dissension in the ranks about it though. Some of us thought it should have gone on the album, some of us didn't. Just some of that conflict that makes up your everyday band, you know.
Right. Moving on to One Step Ahead, which is off Waiata.
Sure.
Yeah, One Step Ahead was on Waiata. It's I was really pleased with it actually in terms of Waiata. One of the songs that endured for me. I think the atmosphere provided by the keyboards is the thing I especially like in that song.
And on to the third one in repertoire, which was Giant Heartbeat, which came off Time and Tide. Yeah.
It was actually written by us two.
Yeah, as we sit here.
Bit of an idea of both of us that we put together, and Neil wrote the lyrics.
Yeah, it's the first time I really thought about the lyrically about the world as one great pulsing mass, which it is in a lot of ways, and I think it's very healthy to think like that because you can get beyond boundaries and borders and colour differences and all that by thinking that way.
Right. How about Lost for Words on the same album?
Yeah, that was originally my song, and Neil and Tim came in and helped at the end with lyrics again and vocals. It's basically about
not knowing what
being
to say.
lost for words, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got an incredibly good bass riff. Nigel's in it.
Okay. This one interests me actually. Who is Sandy Allen?
Sandy Allen is...
She's up there.
Yeah, she towers over us mere mortals. She is the tallest woman in the world. It's confirmed in the Guinness Book of Records if anybody dares to look. People seem to think that there was some clouded sort of story behind Sandy Allen. It's all there in the lyrics. She's the tallest woman in the world and she was one hell of a woman. She really had a fantastic way of looking at things. We were really impressed by her and we met her and had a photo taken with her and it just made an indelible impression on me.
How tall is she?
7'7".
Eek. And on to Nobody Takes Me Seriously anyway, off True Colours again.
Yeah, one of the oldies we were still playing in the set at that time because it comes from True Colours, one of Tim's songs.
You can't bloody get rid of them, you know. Once they're in the set there and once the crowd wants them, you just got to play them.
What would be the story behind 6 Months in a Leaky Boat by Tim?
There's
varying reports on this, aren't there? Falklands.
It's about the Falkland Islands, according to a lot of British people. But then we all know about British people. No, it's actually about a couple of things. One, it deals loosely with the sort of colonial thing, all the settlers coming out from the motherland to New Zealand and Australia. Tim was very much an admiration of those people, and he'd just read a few books, so that inspired the title. But it ended up being a fairly personal song about the breakup of a relationship, which you'd have to ask Tim about.
Right.
It's a good title.
It's a good title,
I
yeah.
like the title, yeah.
We always like the title.
Back to Time and Tide again for Small World.
Oh, that's one of my favourites actually. I really like Small World.
It's one of Nigel's favourites.
One of my favourites. I don't know, what inspired Tim on this one?
It's sort
you know him
of
better than I do.
Tim's Giant Heartbeat, really. I mean, you know, we are sort of in some ways fortunate enough to travel around, so we get to look at a few places, and it is a very, very small world with the communications, media, and as they are at the moment. And I think things from overseas affect us here in New Zealand and Australia far more than they used to. Small world. It's a small world.
And onwards to It Never Ceases to Amaze Me. Does that have anything to do with life in general, or...?
Yeah, it has a lot to do with life, I think. I think it's all about life.
Joie de vivre.
Yeah, it's about life.
Yeah, Tim wrote it while sitting under wrote the lyrics for it sitting under a tree in the Domain in Melbourne. And he had this title, Never Ceases to Amaze, but he couldn't think of anything that amazed him. And he went out one day and got blissed out on the park and the birds and the insects and that, and wrote the lyrics, so there we go.
And from something perhaps more romantic, back to Dirty Creature. What's that about?
Yeah, it's about Tim again, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a latent neurosis, and I don't know, it's about the fears to a certain extent that everybody has within themselves. If you let them catch hold of you, they become like a dirty creature, something that overtakes you, and it's got no logic, no reason. A big thing rising out of a swamp. It's a good synonym, I think, or what's the word?
Simile.
Simile, thank you.
Right. And I Got You seems to be fairly self-explanatory, but is there any deep hidden meaning behind that?
Not really, no. It was probably only about the third lyric I'd ever written, so I was at that stage trying to keep things fairly simple. It seemed like people like simple lyrics though, so here's to the people.
Okay, on to Jaws. I mean, Shark Attack, is that?
Shark Attack, yeah, another one off True Colours. Been around for years, it seems.
Yeah, another one of those stage ones we just can't get rid of. Vicious. Very vicious song.
About vicious people, or?
It is really, yes. It's about vicious people. And, you know,
Yeah.
what goes on in Tim's mind is really his to tell you, but it seems very vicious to
It's
me.
the way we used to play fast songs.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Right. And back to Time and Tide for Haul Away. Does that have any special significance?
All Away's like Tim's Take a Walk, isn't it?
Tim's Take a Walk. It is really, yeah. Tim gets more specific
Fact.
than...
Yeah.
There's a lot of looking back on Time and Tide, and I think Haul Away is the most classic one in a way. Tim tells the story of his life in 6 verses. It leaves a fair bit out, but most of it's in there. And it's all fairly close to the bone, true. But it has a light side as well, thankfully. The actual style of it was... Tim must have written that just after reading the book about the early settlers as well, because it's obviously very hornpipe, very...
It says a lot in very few words in that song, I find.
Yeah.
Did Mum and Dad like it?
You should have seen my father when he heard it for the first time. He was blissed, yeah. No, it's good. It recognises from whence we came. You know, we owe it all to them after all.
And finally on Waiata, History Never Repeats. What's that song about?
Yeah, I never did know what that song was about.
Thank you for your honesty, Nigel. The author has to explain. Well,
Itself.
I like the idea of going against accepted accepted principles and stuff. That song is partly about that. And I find there's a time at night where you're just about to go to sleep and you suddenly have brainwaves and things that come to you just like in a flash, and you always forget them in the morning. But it's a good time of day, that, and it's sort of about that. You can, you know, if something's going wrong, at the very last breath of the day, you can think, oh well, right, tomorrow I'm going to change all that. It's sort of about that feeling.
Just from a personal opinions of you both, what would be your favourite songs that you like playing on stage?
Usually the ones we played least on stage, which is the ones we don't play on stage.
Yeah, right.
No,
well,
that makes sense of it, because we've never played it on stage, have we?
Yeah.
We've never done that one on
But
stage.
then she asked what we liked playing on stage.
Oh, well.
The best.
It varies from night to night, it really does. Normally there's about half the set that it's very hard to get that inspired with because we've been playing it for too long, and the other half of the set are usually the new numbers, and on various nights some of them are great, and other nights the others are great.
It's usually the newer ones, the more recent ones we've brought in.
Is there any song that you could both particularly say that you didn't like playing?
We're all sick to death of True Colours at the moment, aren't we, really?
We are, really, yes. You know,
they're the songs we probably played most.
Followed
over
us
the last
around like a
couple of
bad
years.
smell for a year and a half. I mean, that sounds very ungrateful because it was a very important album for us, and I think the songs were great, but it just seems a little bit too simple to us now, and it would be terrible to have to want to try and repeat that formula. So we're happy to discard it.
Yes. Just getting back to the Sweetwaters thing, what you're here for tonight. Obviously, so this will be played after you've done tonight's reunion, but I'd like to ask you, whose idea was it for the Sweetwaters reunion tonight?
Well, judging from publicity, it was Sweetwater's idea, but no, no, actually, cancel that last remark. Don't want to get into trouble over that. No, it was our idea, but we weren't really sure to what extent it would develop. At one point, we had wanted to do a complete reunion concert with everybody, our own show at a theatre, but that proved to be, well, it just went on, and it was going to be too difficult to organise, so we decided this is going to be a much easier thing to take part in and make it a bit more casual. I don't know,
There's an awful lot of people.
Actually, that thought
there's
of
an
the
awful
idea.
lot of people around up for a full reunion, really, because there's so many. How many members?
Yeah, half of them have. There's been about 16 altogether, and half of them haven't played for about 3 years, and they, you know. So it just seemed like, as an idea, it was great, but in the practicalities, it was better to have 3 or 4 key members from the past who could really contribute and make it a special night, which hopefully tonight will be.
Who are the key members that we'll be likely to see tonight?
Well, this won't go out, so there's no harm. It's Mike Chun's appearing, Emlyn Crowther, and Rob Gillies. We asked Judd, but...
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
I don't blame him.